Well, this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R.
I'm gonna finish what I started.
It's not easy. It's simple. Today, we have an unbelievable guest. This guy has been in some of the biggest shows on the planet, was one of the most good-looking people as well in the world. And then on top of it, today, a few years later, he still looks unbelievable, which is very difficult for my own psyche. But here with us today, David, thank you so much for coming in. I know the applause and the people are amazing, right? Good. This is for you. This is for you.
That's the real audience back there, right?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Nice to meet you. Okay, the biggest thing is how in the world do we pronounce Chokachi?
Chokachi.
Yeah. David Chokachi.
Chokachi. It's like a train, like Chokachi. Yeah.
Even Tony and I were talking about this before you got here. We're like, David Chokachi.
Yeah. I worked with this director recently, and he was like, he had the same thing, and I was like, and then he was like, Chokachi. And then he's like, all right, anytime I need to like de-stress, I'm just going to say, okay, 1, 2, breathe. Chokachi, because you have this vibe about you, Chokachi, that's just very calming. So I occasionally send him a text like, don't forget to breathe, and Chokachi.
That's hilarious. I forgot to mention that we know you from Witchblade, Baywatch, Beyond the Break, and all these other things. So, all right. So where are you from originally?
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up in New England. I went to a prep school because our high school was so overpopulated. They were doing double sessions. Like kids had to go to school at 6 a.m.
Even back then?
Yeah, there was just too many kids in the town, and the high school was too small. So I went to Tabor Academy, which is an awesome school, and I played football, wrestling, lacrosse.
Lacrosse was even big back then?
Oh, yeah, it was huge.
Like our high school never had lacrosse.
Where'd you grow up?
In Kansas.
Yeah, New England's huge on lacrosse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a
Maybe
big
it
deal.
started there. Is that right?
There and
Came from
down
London
south,
and then...
like Maryland and Virginia. It's really popular.
Yeah.
And then now, obviously, it's spread out here. I mean, I started out as a baseball player, and I was a really good baseball player, but I loved the aspect of hitting dudes. And I went on to play college football in the college lacrosse.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I went to Bates College, a Division III school.
Okay.
Have you heard of like Tufts, Amherst, Williams, Trinity? It's called like NESCAC. That's the league.
Okay.
So it's Division III, but I wanted to go to a college where I could actually play. I didn't want to like just.
Yeah.
I could have maybe gone up a level, but I probably just would have been on kickoff team, So I went to Bates. They actually helped me get in through my football skills.
What was your
position?
Yeah.
Strong safety.
Strong safety.
And strong safety, you get to light dudes up.
Yeah, that's the thing that goes. I was going to say safety, but what's the difference between a safety and a strong safety?
Free safety is more of like the.
Who's the guy in the middle?
The linebackers.
Yeah.
And the two linebackers, and then there's it's usually like two safeties and there's two corners. And the free safety is more of like the defensive quarterback. He's kind of seeing everything, but the strong safety has to play the run, and then also has to cover a tight end. But a lot of times, man, you just these running back like a pulling guard will miss his block, and the tailback or running back is following him, and I just have like a 20, 30-yard sprint at this dude, and he never sees me coming, and I just knock him out of his
How can he not see you coming? Because aren't you coming from the back?
I'm kind of coming from an angle.
Oh, and he's going straight.
Yeah, I line up at an angle. I don't line up kind of like behind the linebackers. So.
Okay, nice.
So,
that's why you know Brian Bosworth so well.
Oh, he was my hero, bro.
Yeah, I think he was everybody's hero.
In college, I carved the stripes into my head.
Did you do the hair too?
Yeah, of course.
Well, you kind of have this cool hairstyle, and you got the face that you could totally do the Boz.
Yeah. We were way. I mean, I could. You'd trip out. Yeah.
It was funny, actually. I had never heard the story from him. When he told that story of how he did all that, which was fascinating.
I don't even know the story.
He had a barber in college that did it. And he was the first guy ever. He was the first guy ever to do, or at least for sure, a white guy to ever do, the hair. His
No
own
way.
thing. Yeah. And he
Yeah.
created his own brand, which is why he was the highest, at the highest draft pick.
Yeah.
Or not first draft pick, but also the highest paid draft pick.
I mean, he was a beast.
So going into it. That's interesting. Bosworth, we love you, by the way.
Yeah.
In case you're watching.
And you were my hero, bro. So reach out to me, say hello. It'd be kind of like a weird fan thing.
How many years did you play college football?
All 4.
Did you have NFL aspirations?
No,
Or you were like,
no.
okay, it's all right.
No, I'm
going to play these 4 years.
Too small and too slow. And honestly, Dave,
interesting.
to this day, I dream about football and the group of guys I played with, because we're playing in Maine, dude. So, first of all, it starts getting dark earlier than most places. We're practicing under the lights. It's snowing or raining and it's freezing all the time. So you're bonded by like this shitty environment that you have to play and practice in. There's a bond in football that you don't get to. It's almost like, I would imagine, the bond you form and going to war with someone, because there's no other sport where it's a combined effort and there's violence or whatever. There's physical contact involved and you're counting on each other. You know what I mean? Baseball, everything else is kind of individualized, even though it's a team sport. And it's the weirdest thing. I have these dreams, and my buddies are in the dreams, and we're on the field, and the ball is never snapped in the dream ever. And I don't know what that means. It's the weirdest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of.
We need some like dream analysts.
We need somebody, some dream analysts. Hey, write in. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, please comment about whatever that dream means.
Yeah,
We want to know
maybe
that.
I don't want to know. Maybe I don't want to know.
Let's tell David what his dream means after all these years. All right, so how do we end up on Baywatch? Where were we? You're in college, and because you were young when you did, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I saw a little bit of your. There's a new thing on Hulu, right?
There's
the whole
a documentary called After Baywatch, Moment in the Sun.
Yeah. Which was pretty fascinating.
Did you see it?
I saw probably about 2.5 episodes. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
I
Did you
started
see
watching
my part?
it, though.
I think I'm in this. That wasn't working with the girls, and then
The Baywatch girls?
Yeah.
Oh, she was like literally doing the whole show.
So she was trying to set up a show,
Okay.
and it didn't work. And then she met Matt.
Somebody didn't pick that up, actually.
I know. I'm not sure what happened there.
All the Baywatch women. I mean, do you remember all those reality shows that did the older TV stars? I mean, people like where they lived in a house together.
Oh yeah,
I actually was pretty fascinated with some of those.
I did one.
You did?
I did. It's horrible.
I mean, they were like train wrecks though at the time. Like it was sad though to see some of those. I just remember the Sylvester Stallone's old wife, or his second wife, the Brigitte Nielsen.
Yeah,
and she was alcoholic during that. During the filming
on camera.
And that was so horrible to watch. Her she didn't. And she's come out actually and talked about that since. So. She was so cool back in the day, and then to watch the unfolding of that, and it was just that was not a. I forget the name of that. We're never all in the same house.
That's not something you want to put out. To
anyway, but I'm surprised the girls from Baywatch didn't end up with one of their own shows.
But anyway, the documentary,
almost like the Real Housewives.
Exactly.
Real Baywatch babes.
There's a lot of personalities that didn't get along, so I bet that was the reasoning.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, but the documentary started in 2019. I shot my first interview, and this guy Matt Felker was a fan of the show. He grew up in Wisconsin, and he always felt he followed the show and he followed the media. He's a really smart guy, really smart real estate guy. His dad's very successful in that world. His brother also, and he just thought we never got a fair shake from especially Hollywood. And also, the United States in general, and the media in the United States. He just felt like they stereotyped us, they pigeonholed us, and they had such a stigma. You know
why they did? You know why they had such a stigma against you guys? Is because you guys were too good looking.
Yeah,
and you were like the number one show in the world.
Yeah.
So the fame, they love to take people down or
Yeah,
try to take
it's a
people
weird- it's a
down
weird
because it's
thing.
like a weird,
Like instead, like
As opposed to just
I'm one of
realizing
those-
that-
I'm a human who wants to see the next guy rise high,
Yeah.
or whatever, the next woman go big, and I celebrate that, you know. Yeah, we were like at the time there was 5.6 billion people on the planet, and 1.1 billion people were tuning in per week.
Oh my!
I mean, that's insane, right? We're in the Guinness Book of World Records, and it's a cast photo that I'm in. I'm like, yeah, baby,
That's amazing. How many years were you on the show?
4 years.
Okay,
yeah.
and you were on the first part of it.
No,
though, right?
I came in and it was still like I came out in '95 was my first season, and it hadn't peaked yet. It probably was still climbing for 2 more years.
This thing started in '90, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know because my first audition. I don't really love giving my age out here, but you know, it's because most people think I'm like 32.
This guy.
No, but my first audition in LA, I just hit LA. I was 19 years old. And well, actually, it wasn't an audition. It was a job I was like, I needed a job. I'm driving my little motorcycle, right? And living in Venice in a single apartment with another roommate. And I live in the kitchen, you know. I got about that much room between me and the the fridge. But I was on Baywatch as an extra.
No way.
As an extra. And I had to drive all the way down to wherever and then on my bike. And that's a whole other story where I got pulled over. This is when LAPD was not nice. I got pulled over by LAPD. They literally, the guy throws my keys. He is assaulting me up against the police car about a hit and run. And I was like, I did bounce off of a bumper, you know, on my car, because I was trying not to be late, but I didn't knock anything off. Nothing got ruined. And then he wrote me up for 4 different counts, and of which I ended up going and doing community service for like 100 hours at the Venice
to
Boys
get it expunged.
Because I had no money.
Yeah.
But that was my first day in LA, was working on that show in '90.
My God.
Which happened to be a little bit before you. But
yeah.
All right, so how did we get on that show? Are you brand new to acting at the time?
No, I mean,
you're a football player. You're
it's
yoked.
Kind of a weird trajectory. I don't know how much time we have because I have a lot I want to share with you. But
we got to at least talk about this. For 2
Bates
seconds.
College is like a liberal arts school, and growing up, we used to make these movies. We were fascinated with like Miami Vice, and we'd make these home movies like when my parents would go off for the day or something, and would have like flour as the drugs, and then we would have a boom box over here because you couldn't sync music at the same time, and the lights would be off, and then we'd be like in our characters as Miami Vice dudes, and you hit play on the music and then turn the lights on, and then we'd do the scene.
Were you Don Johnson at all?
And then he kind of, and then it would run out. My sister had like what was it called? What were they called? A Z28? Is it like?
She did, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Wow.
She got whatever she wanted. And we would take that thing and just like burn, like do these donuts and all this shit. And,
oh my gosh. Did she like you doing this to her car?
No, she didn't. She had no idea we were doing it.
These are awesome videos. Are they anywhere? Can we see them?
I've tried for years. I think my mom and sister were obsessed with soaps, and I think they taped over our movies.
Oh, gosh.
Because they would have been like worth gold.
Yeah, that would have been fascinating to watch.
But I just, I went.
You were producing them at the time.
Yes, I was an early producer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I should put that on my resume.
You should produce of the early Don Johnson look-alike.
And I was kind of I had been on a program called Semester C during college, which I don't know if you've heard of, but it's part of out of the University of Pittsburgh, and it literally travels around the world, focused on third world countries. But
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So this thing, after that experience, I came back and I was like, oh my God, I am really tainted I'm really. I could never, after that experience, go do a job as like a 9-to-5 guy. Like all my buddies out of college went into like insurance sales or medical sales, and especially after that experience, I was like,
what was your major in?
Political science.
Okay.
And you couldn't major.
Was anybody creative in your family? I mean, it sounds like if you were producing movies early on.
No, not really. My brother's a PhD fish biologist out in Montana, and my sister runs like an event deal back east near my mom. And
Were you oldest or youngest?
I'm in the middle.
Middle.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But I just kind of pursued it. I started back east. I got a couple commercials really quickly. They're like, you should study. You should pursue this. And then I set myself up in L.A. I didn't know anybody except this random friend of my dad's friend who was an acting coach over here in the Valley. And
that's convenient.
Dude, this is the craziest story ever. And so I get here on Saturday, January the 15th, 1994. Like 2 days before the Northridge earthquake.
Oh.
And I'm all
That's
set
fun.
up. I have a talent agency called Hero that was going to represent me as a model. And
It's
then
like
also,
a perfect name for you.
Yeah, and then also they had a small theatrical division. Even the weirder part of this story is, so I'm living on my buddy's floor up. He was up above the Viper Room on Larrabee and Sunset, and on Sunset.
Viper Room, for you guys out there, was this huge thing by Johnny Depp owned it, and it was this club where unfortunately River Phoenix died in front of it, and it was like it's like a Hollywood icon club that has been around. I mean, it's still open, I think, right?
It is, I guess, because there's a guy on the set who's a musician in a band, the movie I'm doing right now. And he's like, it doesn't have the mystique it used to.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, it was the thing.
Place.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead. Sorry. about
Anyway,
that.
so Sunday night of that weekend, I think, my birthday is on January 16th, so I think it was like, I forget what exact date with the Northridge earthquake kicked off. But Sunday night at like 10 p.m., we decided to go see Robert Altman's movie Shortcuts.
Yeah.
Do you remember that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember the earthquake.
And in that movie, there's a giant earthquake in the story.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is like hiking and I'm sitting next to my buddy and we're like 2 days into LA and I'm like, man, could you imagine if that ever happened in like while we're here or whatever, and whatever. So watch the movie, go home. Now it's like 1 a.m. when we go to bed. Literally 2.5 hours, like 3:26 a.m. I'm laying on the floor, and the entertainment center thing glass is going wham, 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 and I'm like, what is happening? And my friend was hiding under his sleeping bag, like pretending it wasn't happening. But it was just freaky. And my other buddy was just out of it in his bedroom, who owned the place or was renting it. But I got up to run, and the floor just like literally dropped out, and I was like, this is insane.
Dropped out, meaning like did the whole apartment come down?
No, but it just like it did like the roll, you know. Like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Like, and I literally pancaked, and then you could just see it all like out the window, and then all down through LA, transformers just going blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden it went black, and then people were we walked down there and everybody's just like partying at like 4 a.m. because it's, I don't know, I guess that was the thing, but it was a crazy introduction to LA.
That's unbelievable. I was in Sherman Oaks, which is on Moore Park, where all the apartment complexes actually went boom, boom. They crushed all the cars that were in the first thing. Windows were blown out, and I was thrown out of bed. Everything was over. Yeah, but the interesting thing about that is right. You were walking around on the glass, and you're like trying to get out of the door. But to your point, though, everybody's out on Moore Park, and literally, they're just hanging out in the middle of the street because you don't want to be close to the buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most central place you could be. And then we started cooking, and because all the fridges were done, the power was out, and then people lived out there practically.
Yeah, it was weird. It was
very, very weird.
Yeah.
Wow, that was like right as you got here.
Yeah.
Was your place okay, though? Were you able to stay there?
Oh, yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
It was totally fine.
I had to move.
Did the building like?
Oh yeah. Now ours didn't collapse, but we literally had there was no power in our area for weeks.
Yeah. I ended up right after that because I was like all set up to work, and I have a construction background also, so I'm a carpenter, and a buddy of mine worked for FEMA, and he's like, I was planning on going on all these auditions and shit. And then he's like, that obviously wasn't happening. But he's like, hey, do you want to go inspect chimneys in Northridge? All you had to do is take this iPad, drive to these addresses, look at the chimney, and determine whether or not it's deemed safe or needs to be repaired. Click it off, and you get like $100 of chimney.
Every time. Wow. Yeah.
So I did that for like 6 months, and then
that was called the Northridge earthquake. FYI. Yeah.
Just that thing was gnarly.
Yeah,
The worst part,
1994.
I'm sure, was the aftershocks because
They kept going
yeah,
for a
like
long
you'd start
time.
to you'd go to bed the following whatever nights, and it would start the exact same way. It'd be like,
Yeah.
brrrr.
And you're
you're
thinking, going, oh my gosh, is it happening
So now
again?
you're like ready, like everything's like, do I sprint? And then it goes, and then it stops, and you're like, all right.
Have you been feeling these earthquakes as of late?
Yeah.
We've been having a bunch of them.
Yeah, I was at the Malibu one recently.
Oh,
It was,
yeah.
like, legit. I was like, whoa,
yeah.
that was crazy.
All right, so wait, stepping back a minute. So we're
Yeah.
on Baywatch. So 94. Okay, so you get on Baywatch the next year.
I got on Baywatch quickly. It was I came on in season 95.
Mm-hmm.
You're the dude we've been looking for months. We have looked at probably 2,000 guys on the East Coast, West Coast. You are exactly the image of what the writer wants. He was 5 auditions and then also a swim test they put you through.
Oh.
But she knows who she is.
She couldn't swim?
No, she was scared of sharks.
Oh.
So what they would have to do is anytime there was a rescue, she would run to the water's edge, cut, put the stunt woman in. The stunt woman does the rescue, brings the person back to shore, cut.
Was she on the show for a long time?
Yeah, she was on for a year. Well, she was on the beginning, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they left her on, though, for a while.
yeah,
That's the point.
they just were like, okay. But after that, they made everybody do swim tests and like tested them. And
This is back in the day, though, when you did 22 episodes,
Yeah.
right? A season.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Because now it's kind of with all the SVOD stuff.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
10,
weird. I know,
13.
I know.
Actually, it's 10. But they still, I think like a regular season is like 22, though.
I think
still.
if it's a big show now. And it was weird. Like when I got the offer, it was like, yes.
Yeah, of
and
course.
They go, by the way, so we're going to guarantee you 6 out of 22. And it's kind of like a probation deal.
Do we work out every day?
Yeah, it's a whole story, but I had a bad Achilles injury and the surgery didn't work. I had to have a second one and
On the same
one.
From
And like on a whole journey down to darkness and then back out. And now I'm like, I rebounded so strongly just through like nature and biohacks. And all of a sudden, like I'm like in cold plunging and sauna. And
Oh, wow. What
Watching
do you think
sunrise.
about cold plunging? You like that?
Dude.
Because some people don't like it. It's, I don't like cold, so I'm like,
telling you. Initially, I'd do like 10 minutes, dude, at like 41 degrees. And I was like,
how much are you supposed to do?
you're not supposed to do that much. You're supposed to do like
3 minutes, right?
6 minutes, three to 6, and then kind of go back and forth between that.
You know what I'm going to do, Tony, is I'm going to get in my own pool, and I'm going to try to do it. What time of the day do we do it? Like Mark Wahlberg seems to be doing it at 5 in the morning every day.
So that's new. Normally, when I usually, if I'm working, that's when I do it. But I'll do it like 3 times a day.
What
too.
time did you do it today?
Well, last night we wrapped. I didn't get home till 2:30 in the morning, and I got up at 5. And
You look well rested.
I think it's because I cold plunged and sauna'd. I'm not kidding.
Okay, so what time did we cold plunge today?
It's probably 6 a.m.
You got home at what time?
2:30 in the morning.
And then you got up at 6? Why? Do you have to get your kids to school or something?
No, just because I'm working on this movie, and actually I have another project that's.
But you don't go to the movie till later.
Yeah,
shoot.
but I actually
You're shooting nights, right?
I'm doing another movie this Saturday and Sunday. This thing called Black Panthers World War II that which is a really great script, and there's just tons of dialogue in it all. Initially, they couldn't work out the dates, and then like 3 days ago, they go, "Is David still available? Because we will work the dates out." And I was like, "Great! I'm still digesting and working on this thing, and the character has so much dialogue." So I just
In the new one or the one you're working on now at nights?
in the new one. So
Yeah, nights you're just saving a kid, right? He's under a car
yeah,
or something.
but there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff.
He's
going
just
on.
saving a car. Do you only look at a project where you could save somebody or save somebody? Like if they're not in the water, now they're in cars and everything else?
No, I mean, you know it is. You're an actor, man. You make movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes I always strive for the better projects, the better characters. But occasionally, if there's been a gap of time, I love working. I love being on set. That's where I feel really happy when I'm being creative as an actor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a piece of garbage or if it's like this thing I'm doing right now, which is called Married Alive, which I think is
Married or buried?
Married Alive, which I think will probably be the best movie I've ever done in my 29 years of working actor.
Wow.
Directed and written by this guy Bruce Reisman, who I've done 2 other movies for. I just, and it's hard.
You got one on Prime too right now, right? Adeline?
Yeah, Adeline. Yeah,
Adeline.
Yeah.
Called Adeline.
So that was a beautiful story that we shot in Ohio, and just an awesome experience.
Okay, so wait, you're on Baywatch though. I got to at least go, David.
Yeah. I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up sailing and then teaching sailing, and then I went to like the Junior Olympics and windsurf racing. I knew how to drive boats. I was a certified
tailor-made for this.
I was certified
water.
scuba diver.
Wow.
I knew CPR going into this. So when I got on the show and they saw my skill set, also they were like, "Oh my God, we can write
all kinds of stories."
They only had to use a double because insurance wouldn't cover me for just to rappel down a stupid cliff, but everything else them and do. Anyway, they gave me the choice, and I'm like, I loved Yasmin. She was like, and Pam was the same. They were so super cool, but I'm like, of course, I'm going to go with Pam.
Was she married through the whole time?
She was
Or did she get divorced somewhere along the way?
Yeah, she was during that time.
I mean, they had a
for a
rocky.
period. Yeah, for a period it was fine, and then for a period it was not fine. And it's even in the documentary, like when.
Yeah, well, it's in her documentary too.
Yeah, Tommy saw. Back in the day, like Extra would come out to the set and like they could stand behind the police tape and shoot anything they want. So anything you're shooting exterior on the beach. So we're shooting like a makeout scene at the water's edge, and they get it, and then it airs like that night, and Tommy's home watching it, and the next day I come down to the set, and I'm coming on my trailer. I walk by her trailer, and it's just like bang, 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 bang. I'm like, what's going on there? And he was in there like tearing her trailer apart. He was so mad that she was doing a kissing scene with me.
Yeah.
He freaked out. He called the producers. He's like, if you ever write another kissing scene for Pam and Chokachi, I'm going to kill you.
Did he pronounce your name right?
I'm not sure if he
Chokachi?
did. And the crazy, so we couldn't tell him where we were shooting. The crew had to tell him, we're shooting in Marina Del Rey. Would be at Tuma Beach.
Right. Wow.
Totally misdirection. And she was going through a lot of stress at the time because of that. And it was just a bummer because it could have been way more fun for her. And then cut to like a couple of months later, we all go out to dinner, and he's the coolest guy in the world. And like a small group, it was like Pam and Tommy, Yasmin, and myself and my buddy. And my buddy and Tommy and I are up like doing shots. And then we this is the same night we went to the Viper Room after and hung out, watched the band. And it was the same night. So we go out the back door, and the paparazzi were right up in their face. And I was like, I'm out. And that was the same night he pushed one of the dudes and broke the guy's hip.
Oh.
And I was like, thank God I was not part of that. But anyway, it's like a full circle story. But yeah, the show is just crazy because it's a really cool trip. We're on a National Geographic boat. They have these naturalists that, so the boat kind of cruises around the islands. And so the naturalists are all Ecuadorians, and they're amazing and super smart, and it's so primitive, and it's like going back in time. The animals, all the marine animals, are not afraid of you because they've never been hunted. So
wow.
A seal or whatever, they're coming up to you on the beach and laying right next to you.
Okay, and what year are we there?
Last year.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So we get in one of the Zodiacs to go to the beach,
yeah.
And the guy has the red Baywatch rescue can. And I don't say anything. And he goes, okay, everybody, this is our rescue can. We call it Pamela. And we call it Pamela. And I'm like, no, you don't. Wait. So we get to the beach, and I tell him, I'm like, dude, I was on Baywatch.
Did they not know it?
No.
Oh.
So, but they that was their thing. They call all the red rescue cans Pamela.
Oh, my gosh.
And all the guides freaked out, and we got pictures with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, Baywatch has reached the Galapagos. it's nuts. Yeah.
Well, from the rise of Baywatch on NBC, right,
Yeah.
to then going to syndication.
So we had wrapped the season, and then I just said, hey, can I go out for a pilot? This is when there was a real pilot season. And can I go out for pilots while you guys figure this out because you don't have a home yet? And Greg didn't like that. He's like, well, we don't want any unhappy actors on the show. I'm like, dude, I'm not unhappy. I'm just asking you guys.
Yeah, can I go also for some other more work?
So it ended up, I just parted ways when they went to Hawaii, and I ended up getting a Jon Favreau pilot that was awesome. And then right after that, I got Witchblade. So it worked out great because the show didn't translate in Hawaii, which was insane.
For whatever reason, it didn't work there.
You'd think it would, but
It wasn't the same thing as Malibu.
And recently, there's Fremantle, who owns the rights to it, tracks everything. And there's been a huge spike in the international streaming of Baywatch. And there's been such a resurgence in the interest and also the viewing of just like the original show.
The interesting thing is every time they try to do a redo of it, though, it doesn't seem to click.
Yeah.
Whether it was Baywatch Nights or whether it was over when they did it in Hawaii or I can only imagine how many times that it has been tried to redo with that spark that happened. Okay, so you're one of People Magazine's 50 most beautiful people in the world in 1997, by the way, and probably 2027 to be in 3 years because of your cold plunges.
I love it.
But how is this like when you're on the most beautiful people in the world and peoples? So do we have this framed?
It's framed. I think it's at my mom's house.
Really?
Back east.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is it laid out to where you have the you have the cover and then it shows the different?
Tom Cruise is on the cover.
Way to go, Tom.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of next to it, but it's in the documentary, and the guy Matt Felker, who did the documentary, who did an amazing job. He's like, bro, I got a brand new, never basically opened issue of that magazine. Do you want it? And I was like, heck yeah. So now it's sitting on my coffee table. I'm like, yeah, brother.
Well, you're going to get another one in 2027, so
right.
you'll have a lot more.
Manifesting, right?
All right, so our podcast is called Dare to Dream. What can you leave our viewers with?
Can I plug Married Alive real quick?
Yeah, of course.
It's a beautiful, heartfelt story about this father and son who are going up to their cabin to go on a little bonding trip before he gets married. And the kind of the backstory is real quick is we're on this camping trip and kind of screwing around with the Jeep and like doing some off-roading. The Jeep ends up like getting sideways and he's in it. I try and get a cable hooked up to get it like off this edge, and anyway, it ends up going over a cliff, like a hill. He gets pinned. The chemistry and the synergy between the cast and the crew is aligned day after day, 100%. Where, I mean, last night, bro, we were all freezing. I had a wetsuit on under my wardrobe too, and I was freezing.
Even with this cold plunge thing, though, didn't we? Doesn't that train you to be?
It does. It definitely does.
You probably handled it a lot better than most people.
Yeah,
there.
but nobody. You always on a set, somebody's complaining about something.
Yeah.
I've been there every day. I'm playing the lead. I haven't heard one person complain. It's that kind of environment.
Also starts at the top, though, for people like yourself.
And also everybody else. But it's just an amazing crew and cast. So I had to plug that. Okay, what was your last question?
What's your last moment that you can give to this audience about their dreams that God has put in their hearts?
Life and answers to any problems you have are not in books, and they're not going to come from your doctors. They are out in nature. They are cold plunging. They're walking barefoot. They're watching sunrises. They're being with family. They're being with community. They're planting gardens and eating food that you actually grow, even if it's one little thing. It's breath work. It's exercise. There's a part of your brain, and Andrew Huberman talks about this all the time. There's a part of your brain when you go to the gym when you don't want to go and you're just exhausted, but you go. It builds something in your brain that creates this kind of momentum and a mental toughness that you did not have. So you can build something that's free, that doesn't cost anything. And nobody's going to tell you this. No doctor, no psychiatrist, no therapist is ever going to send you down this direction. But
David Chokachi is.
I will send you down this direction, and I'm proof it worked because I was like, because of this bad injury I had, I was in a bad place, and I all of a sudden went back to nature, and all these little biohacks, like no sugar, just good nutrition, and everything kind of like came together, and it was like, boom, like a spark went off, and I was like, oh my God, like the version. And I was never a person to be down. I was always the guy like, dancing crazy with my daughter. And then afterwards, after this whole experience, I'm like on a different level, like higher version of myself than I was before the injury. But during the injury, I thought my life was over, which is crazy.
We will
TBD.
TBD. Guys, I want to just say thank you so much to David. David, appreciate
awesome,
you
Brian.
being
You're
here.
amazing.
Yeah. Likewise. We will leave you, and we want to just say, remember what he just talked about, and chase that thing that is in your heart, because I believe that if God put it there, that there's a special reason for it, and you have something on this planet to also give so many other people. So God bless you guys. Thanks again for having us, and we'll see you next time.